Welcome to
The Get Together!
It's a show about the nuts and bolts of community building, and I am your host, Bailey Richardson.
Hi, Bailey.
I am a community researcher at People & Company.
Is it my turn? I'm Kevin Huynh. I am also a person at People & Company.
Yes.
Bailey's business partner.
Best BP in
Best defensive player on my rec league basketball team.
Oh.
3rd through 5th grade. There was no award. It was just, I was pretty sure I was the best defensive player. Self-anointed. Best defensive player, 3rd grade rec league, St. Vrain Valley.
St. Vrain.
That's where I was from.
Colorado.
District, Colorado basketball player.
There you go.
I scored 6 points.
Yeah, that's about my average in high school.
Through the season.
Really?
There really was this thing where, like, I was really good at defense and horrible at offense.
That's me,
but
too.
Then you play man on man, so they pair me against the best offensive player on the other team, and then he has to shut me down, aka I'm already shut down. You know what I'm saying?
I know that role exactly. I absolutely was that role.
I'm like a black hole. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So this episode's going to be about basketball.
If you couldn't tell. In each episode,
though, we will interview someone who has built a community about just how they did it. How did they get the first people to show up? How did they get thousands more members, hundreds more members?
Yes.
Scale's not better, quality over quantity.
Yes.
But today we're going to talk to my homegirl, Aria McManus.
The most surprising thing for me was how many people showed up on day one. And continues to be the most surprising thing is how many people show up on like day 300. Mm-hmm. Every time there's a stranger that comes, I'm just like, where did you come from? Mm-hmm. How are you here? This is amazing. Mm-hmm. And that continues to be such a huge motivator to like keep me going. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm like, I'm lazy, but I'm like, it's going to be so good after I meet that new stranger that came to my thing. Like, that's so exciting.
She is an artist and creative director by day and my basketball coach by night.
Yes.
Full disclosure, I am on her basketball team. The team that Aria started is called Downtown Girls Basketball. It plays in downtown, lower part of Manhattan in New York City. Manhattan. She started it in 2013, and from the very beginning, she described it as a team for girls only who are specifically bad at basketball. So, Kevin, you are just not one of those, it sounds like.
You're saying I was good?
I'm saying you're not a girl.
Okay, got it. Oh, only one of those factors doesn't apply.
Yes,
Otherwise, I'd be totally
there.
invited.
You would totally have been there,
sure.
Yes. And Aria is going to tell us about the first 30 women that she got to show up at the very first practice and how that grew into an email list of rotating cast of characters of about 400 people. Yes. 5 years down the line, new teams have popped up in cities around the world, Glasgow, London, LA.
A movement.
Yeah, all kind of look like Downtown Girls Basketball, similar ethos in recent years, and companies like Nike, the New York Times, Cosmopolitan, Popeye, Instagram's Instagram account have come to check out Downtown Girls Basketball because the vibe is right. It's a group of welcoming, creative, and most of all, it's a group of people having serious fun. Mm-hmm. So, Kev, what stood out to you in this interview? What stood out to you about what Aria built and the juju?
Commitment and consistency, man. I guess there's a theme here. We interviewed Hector, who runs We Run Uptown, which is a run crew in the Bronx. We're now talking to Downtown Girls Basketball. Similarly, it's like they've hosted practices / runs, and haven't missed X day for X years.
Yeah.
Just like always organizing over and over and over again. And one, I just find that so admirable when someone does that. I think with Aria, listening to the interview, like just listen for how she's kind of just stuck to the original concept. It's like if it works, it works. You know what I mean? Like she hosted Downtown Girls Basketball. She hosted it her way. She used, her own voice, the weird email invite, and just was like, yeah, this is how it is. People seem to like it, and I kept doing it.
Yeah.
Let's not overcomplicate it. And I think even along the path, there are times where it could have gotten more complicated. Maybe she flirted with those things, but it's awesome to see how it's been around for a while and continues to hold like that same spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so on point. And It seems like one of the hardest things for organizers is just to rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be fancy. Like, the value comes in getting to know other people and members and organizers showing up for each other over and over and over and over again. It doesn't always come from some fancy change or new addition or publicity or whatever. And I think Aria really gets that.
Yeah.
And in New York, it's so refreshing, especially because everything's kind of new and the new finagled thing out here.
Yeah.
Let's jump into it. Aria, Kevin and I always say you can't fake the funk. Like, if you're starting something for other people, you actually have to be into the thing. Where does that come from with basketball for you? Like, when did you... I think your dad was a basketball coach, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad and my brother both coached my junior high team, rec center team. I think we
Rec
won...
Center, like the YMCA? What was it called?
It was like a Linwood Rec Center.
And this is in Minneapolis or St. Paul?
This is in St. Paul.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and it was this very small, tiny team, and we were so bad. And yeah, it was just like embarrassing for everyone, but we had the best time. Some of my best friends now are from that team just because it was kind of this camaraderie that was like, it was such a team effort. Even though we would lose, it was kind of like we got to make that choice whether we were going to care if we won or lost. And it wasn't so individualized. Like, I also swam and did gymnastics, and those were things that were such like individual sports. And this was like a first like very team oriented, like you had to depend on other people. And like you also could be like, oh, no worries, you know, like if you messed up.
Airball.
If you definitely airballed all the time. And it was such a funny thing when people would airball that it was like, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It's
either really funny or
not
really
that
sad.
It's just like, it's just funny. Because you're like, I didn't think I was going to do it. Like,
well, I think there's a 50% chance for me. I'm like, this is either might go in.
This is going to be perfect.
Or it's embarrassing.
But then, like, you got to, you know, say it's not embarrassing for when other people airball and then they do the same for you.
Yeah, you're like, don't worry, you're next.
Right.
You're airballing next. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was just like such a full gossip train. Like, it wasn't any skills. It would just be like you're in line and you're just like, so what happened? And it was junior high gossip. So it was like so much more. Like, nothing was happening. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, nothing
actual gossip was going on. It was just gossip for like he talked to her at recess, you know, like so I think that was like the start of why I really enjoyed like this sport as an idea, because you could be bad and still have fun.
All right. Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the unique angles of downtown girls basketball, which I want to ask you about in a second. But I'm realizing as you're talking about gymnastics and swimming, I mean, you're an artist.
Yes.
Being an artist is also a solitary endeavor in some ways. Like, you kind of have overcome that. But you, like, have to do a lot of it by yourself. So you moved to New York. You're an artist by day.
Yes.
And, like, a creative director, too. At what point do you decide... I played sports growing up. They meant a lot to me. I didn't start a team in New York City. So at what point did you start a team in New York? What was the first moment where you're like, oh, maybe I should do this? Do you remember?
Yes. It was like the summer after graduating college, or maybe a year after that. And I just kind of felt like every one of my friends from college or surrounding areas, like, were moving away pretty constantly. But more friends were moving here. So it was this big transient time for like a lot of people. My boyfriend was very much in the arts community, and I was kind of like in it, but not in it. And then so I was at an opening and I had this idea and I kind of just like pitched it to people because I remembered my junior high years of just being so much fun. And I was like, it's about to be summer. Like, would you guys be down to do this?
So just to be clear, you're at an opening, you come up with the idea, and then you immediately turn to someone and you're like, you want to join my basketball team?
I've been thinking about something.
I met like 4 great women, like Taylor Larson, who's on the team, like Miranda Levitt. Like, we're all at this opening. And I was like, I don't want to lose you guys. Like, I just met these people that were like really funny and like down to be friends, and like we had peripheral friends, and I was just like, let's kind of shape this a little bit. And I think I maybe like that happened, and then we went to like a diner afterwards, and then I pitched a smaller group, and then they pitched it to like 10 more people.
Can you tell me what the pitch was? Like, how did you sell people on it?
I was just like, what do you guys think about like a basketball team that is for women that we're just bad and we just go have fun. And that's stayed consistent.
Yeah, it's really funny. I mean, I have to tell people so many times when I'm like, you should come play basketball. And people are like, I'm so bad. And they say it to me so many times, and I'm like, no, literally, it's for girls who are bad at basketball.
Right.
And they still kind of don't trust me.
It takes convincing.
Yeah. How do you convince people like who are new? Is it they watch the Instagram videos that you post and we miss shit and like are bad?
I usually talk about my stats, which are low.
Tell me what your stats are. I'm convinced.
I say like I haven't made a basket in a few weeks, and I started the team. And they're like, okay, like, that's sad for you. I feel like trying to put myself in a little bit of a lower tier will make people feel a little bit more approachable to the team.
Yeah, I think, like, I played a sport in college, and I've been doing all this, like, fucking intense sport shit for so long. And it's really interesting. I think Downtown Girls Basketball is the only time that I can remember, even, like, 6th grade soccer, where fun is actually more important than anything else. Like it's like literally winning or doing well or whatever. And you see new girls come that take basketball pretty seriously, and it takes a while for them, and sometimes they can't get to the point where they're actually cool with just having fun with friends.
Right.
I want to ask you about the first practice. As many details as possible.
Okay.
Did you text your friends? Where did you get the court? Like, talk me through it.
So I sent an email out to just, like, everyone that I knew that was, like,
a woman.
A peripheral woman that had been, like, I met you at a
peripheral woman.
Like, just, like, maybe we're not best friends, but we've hung out in some capacity. And I put my phone number and I made it really goofy and had, like, cat basketball images on it and stuff. And
which is a continued thing.
I literally have not stopped since
some consistency here.
Yeah, really like keep it the same.
I just keep seeing your previous emails stacked up in my
I try
email.
to do reply all.
Yeah, so you've just been replying all every week with the hey, basketball's happening tomorrow email for 5 years?
Yeah.
And the amount of visual imagery in that email is like pretty insane.
Yeah, I have it all backed up for all
good
eternity. Not maybe I used to do like poems, and sometimes I still do, but like the first ones I would spend like a couple hours on. I would make like little how it's like a basketball player, but it was made out of like parentheses and dashes.
I know what you
I would find those.
Some like ASCII art.
Yeah. I would make it like white on white, so you had to highlight the text. Like I would just like get really weird with emailing.
Was that part of the shtick in the very first email, or were you pretty straightforward with the very first email?
The very first email, I was pretty crazy because I had done.
You had to sell it.
I had done a pay it forward zine idea that was like artists, but of different mediums come together and do like one medium. And those emails got pretty weird, and I found that I got most responses the crazier the emails got. If I'm gonna ask like famous artists to be in this zine, I kind of need to like get their attention somehow. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of
same thing for a normal girl to play basketball.
Gotta get their attention.
Give me some weird shit. Okay, so you send a really weird email out to every peripheral woman you've ever met.
Yes.
You found a court, or what was the deal?
So I kind of was like, the ones on Allen I thought would be available, but then they weren't.
This is in the Lower East Side?
Yeah. And they weren't, and so then I was like, just like texted a bunch of people like were moving to this court, and I found it at the Seward Park, and it was a half court. And then the first time it was like 30 people showed up, and I was like, wow, like this is, I mean, I was like shocked if one person showed up, but it was like a really fun time, and it was like able to create that. I was really nervous, but I was kind of like, okay, I'm used to this. I remember what this was like to try to just organize.
Did you have a whistle?
No, I didn't have a whistle.
No whistle at that point? There's a whistle.
Grown up in a few ways.
Okay.
Reserve a court.
Okay.
And then, like a few weeks later, people were like, and we didn't keep score. We just like messed around, and it was so silly. And so like, everyone was so bad, and there was like no one good at all to even like compare yourself to. And it was just like, oh, the ball would go into the tennis court next door. Like it was just so silly and like goofy. And so that was really fun. And I think I was also like texting a lot of people to try to come because I was like not sure if people would come or get my email in time.
Yeah.
And so that was like kind of the first few weeks. I think maybe even the first time, but I was like, let's just do, we'll be done soon. Let's just do next point wins. And that was the birth of Sudden Death.
Whenever I ask someone new, like how they found out about Downtown Girls Basketball, it's almost always Instagram.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about when you started the account and like what's your approach with it?
We didn't have an account for the first 2 years when we were just doing it in the summer. But people would then, I started the hashtag then, but I was like, I don't need to. I think
make an account specifically for Downtown Girls Basketball. Everyone would just post
it
themselves
on their own and say I'm a part of this team, and it was kind of just then it became kind of a word of mouth thing. So it was I saw it on your Instagram, I would reach out to you individually.
Yeah.
And then I think we had been in touch with this team that someone pointed out to us in LA called the Pistol Shrimps. They're more of an
Great
organized
name.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're a little bit more of an organized team, league where it's teams and refs, and they play in an indoor gym. And they had their own Instagram, and I was like, oh yeah, we should do that too. And so that kind of inspired us to just create our own platform. And then so the team photo was always kind of I think it's just commemorative. They used to have commission of teams with coaches photos when you're in
with your NBA championship ring,
and
Ace
you're
Ventura.
in all your costume, you're in your jerseys and uniforms, and so I was kind of highlighting and thanking people for coming that were new or they felt I haven't come before, I'm not going to be in the team photo, and it's a little bit of another moment to be you're on the team.
Yeah.
And we're showing that to the world.
Yeah, and now usually people are so stoked about the team photo. You take it with one camera, and at the end you use AirDrop on your phone to just send it to a bunch of people. Was that always the case? One person's taking the picture of the team, and then everyone's I want one of those.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think that's how I found out about it. Was somehow peripheral female friend had attended Downtown Girls Basketball. I want to ask you too, you're a creative director. You have a very strong visual sense. That's what you're trained in. And one of the things that I think I like about the account so much is how approachable it is. It's not really, there are other people doing this that it feels very polished and perfect and well lit and all these things, which is stuff that you know how to do, but you're not doing it. Is that intentional? I know this is kind of meta, but how do you think about that?
I mean, it's just so much effort to do that. I really want the focus to be the experience of the people attending and not the extra stuff. I mean, there was a moment maybe 3 years in where we started doing a lot more press and events and stuff, and it's kind of a trial and error. I was oh, this happens to change the vibe of the community if we do this too much.
Yeah.
If there's cameras, if there's a lot of people just coming for the camera, it changes the mood and it changes the vibe of the experience when you're physically there. So that alone kind of was a cue to me, just reading the room basically of just oh, people feel less comfortable, people feel this is a little bit much, and we're not having as much fun.
Yeah.
So the effort in making it more polished is not worth the lack of fun to be had.
Yeah.
And I think it's also just show reality. I mean, the highlight reel kind of started when there would be so many funny moments that I just wanted to kind of show them off, and it was also a thing that I could point to be this is our skill level. And for a while, a team member was posting them on, it was a men's basketball feed on Instagram's, highlight feed.
Yeah.
And we got thrown in there a few times with our highlight videos.
Oh my God, amazing.
And the comments were insane. They were just
Because we were just
People would
terrible
just
and
be
people.
like, what? Question mark? Like, just like confused emoji. Why did that girl like just double dribble? Like, it wasn't, they weren't like some were like, throwing shade, but like others were just like confused. And
Yeah, well, I
bizarre.
think people just can't understand
Like, why
playing
would
and
you
not
be-
like. Yeah, there's like you either completely follow the rules or you don't play.
Right.
And we're just like, do some of these rules matter?
Yeah, like she'll figure it out eventually
Yeah.
what the rules are.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's kind of that combo of like just like going with the flow and not wanting it to be polished because none of it is intentional. It's purely like going with the vibe, I feel. Even to the like logo we did, that's like my boyfriend surprised me with a bunch of jerseys for my birthday. He made a few logos and like sent them to a couple of friends for feedback, and they like picked one.
Oh my god, I didn't know that. That's amazing.
And how he actually like got the logo was like he just Googled the words and like what came up on Google, because he knows how I do the emails and stuff. So he was like, I want to mimic that. So he just Googled the word downtown. That's like the font. And
No
then Googled the
way.
word girls, and that's like the font. And then like basketball, like in blood, like
Really?
the font.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's like kind of silly, but like kind of cool, like
Yeah,
the way
absolutely.
that it was like portrayed. So it's like it's on brand kind of for how I do the emails and etc. Like it follows the suit. kind
Yeah. Tell me about those T-shirts. Do you ever see them around New York on people you don't recognize or no?
It's really nice, and I see them on teammates just like around town, and like my mom visited, and it was pretty much like every time we went out of the house, I saw someone from basketball.
Aww.
And she was just like, this is crazy. Like, this
That's
never
how
happens.
I mean, I think for me it's really funny because I'm a pretty late stage downtown girls basketball player, and there are a lot of like brands and sceney things that want to be close to you and close to downtown girls basketball, and it's just amazing thinking about you having a dad who's like a basketball coach, and you're like, I'm not good at this, and now you're in New York and you're like the girl like kingpin of basketball in New York culture, and it's just like amazing to me. You're like, this is the best story ever.
Yeah, he's not like a professional coach or anything. He just happens to be my volunteer coach in junior high. I was in some Nike zine and I was holding a basketball, and I didn't even know this, but it was like distributed at the Soho store. And I just like went in to go buy him something, and they were visiting, both my parents were visiting.
Oh my god. And
he opens this scene that he just like sees, and then I have like 3 photos in it. I'm like on the back cover, and he starts flipping out. He literally shows it to every employee and then points to me.
Oh my god.
And it's like in the Nike Soho store, and they're like, cool, that's her? Cool.
Like we were hoping it was LeBron, but yeah.
Exactly.
That's so cute.
And I was like, Dad, come on, you're embarrassing me.
We gotta go. These people are cool. This is Soho.
He's like, and she's bad.
She's not even good at basketball.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, go ahead.
Well, are there rules at downtown girls basketball? Like, they could be Fight Club-esque rules, but are there rules to downtown girls basketball?
Yeah, usually the rule is it's people who don't identify as male. It's open to all of those people. We don't usually allow like spectatorship, but the rule is like if it's for people who are bad, or you have to not mind if other people are bad. That's kind of like the basis motto is if you happen to be good, you just have to not mind if other people are bad, because that's a thing too for people. And then we have like rules relating to like sudden death, and we don't really like call fouls and stuff. Like it's kind of self honor code, yeah, self-policed,
self-policed.
What's it?
Regulated, refereed.
Refereed.
Is
that a word?
Self-refereed?
No,
yeah, self-refereed.
Sounds like a
I feel
brand.
that.
Yeah.
So there's like rules in that sense, and it's kind of a sliding scale of rules.
Yeah.
Like if there's a person that's really good and they double dribble, like they'll kind of call it on themselves. But if it's a brand new person, they don't know what they're doing, and they double dribble or travel, like, we're just like, let them go, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a sliding scale of normal rules.
Yeah.
I have a friend that just started teaching high school, and I was kind of like, oh, I've like picked up a lot of these things from just like managing a group of people at once. It's just like routine, do the same thing every time, so everyone kind of knows what to follow along. It's not like you're retelling everything each time. And then I've noticed, like, if we don't warm up enough, certain people like get less into, like, there's certain games that are like quieter, and I'm like, oh, like, we need to warm up mentally and physically a little bit more.
Transition
like,
into basketball.
Yeah, from like, these are a bunch of strangers to like, these are my teammates. Like, that arc kind of like is supposed to happen every game. And that's a little bit decided on who shows up and their mood, but it's also decided on like what I kind of do to orchestrate that.
Yeah, I love that. This first practice, 30 people come, you emailed everyone you know, you texted everyone you know, and then were you like, yeah, I'll just keep doing this. I'm going to do this next week. Like, how, like, so many things in New York are one-offs. Why was this not?
I think I just had too much fun. I just was like, I need this. And you guys seem to like it too, so why not? And I did it just in the summertime because that seemed a little bit, and so the winter transition was a little bit more
Gotta go inside.
Gotta like find a court, but yeah, we would like find courts that like had lights, and we would, there'd be like one person maybe like playing, and we'd just kind of be like, hey, we're gonna come, we're kicking you out, sorry. Like, so I try to not do that as much. And so the things that we've gotten more professional about is like renting courts, getting gyms set up like with, permits, and getting insurance. We have a great like friend who like lets us be under his insurance for his league. And
oh, cool.
All that stuff is like really expensive to do on your own. And so that's what helps make it a little more professional. And also people really don't like getting kicked off their court without like proof.
In New York City that you're like, hey, actually I have this booked for this time.
Yes.
So when did you start? One of the things that we hear from people who are running kind of groups similar to what you're doing all the time is that money, it can be really difficult. And if you wait too long also to ask people for money, it just becomes a more and more tense situation.
Yes.
At what point did you start asking for, at the end of each practice, you say $10 suggested donation, and people just Venmo you the money. At what point did you start asking for that, and was it a big deal, or was it right away?
The first 3 years or so, I wasn't really booking stuff. I was just kind of like finding a court and then getting there. So I was like, I'm not going to ask for money just because like I'm doing this for fun. And
you're not putting money down to get the court.
Right. And then the first gym we had, I just had so much fun, and I kind of just thought of it as like, oh, this is just like my gym membership cost, and I don't want to ask people for money just because it was too special for me. Like, not to say that it's not now. I just was like, oh, okay, this is like more sustainable to just have it even out by the end.
Yeah.
Because there's like custodian fees, like indoor fees, insurance fees, and then to rent it outside is also like, it's cheaper, but it's like more expensive in winter. So like if everyone, does it, and I make it a suggested donation. So I want to keep it open to everyone to attend still.
Yeah.
So that's why I made it like suggested. And it's like $10 is like cup of coffee nowadays. So.
Did you get oat milk in that? Yeah. $12.50. Yeah.
Turmeric latte.
Everyone outside of New York is
$11.50.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like to keep it like cheap, and it's kind of just like to cover costs because I'm getting as much joy out of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that you said it's more sustainable. Like, I think people don't always look at money that way. It doesn't have to be about you making a boatload of money off this thing.
Because I'm definitely not.
Yeah. It's like, I just need to sustain. I want to sustain it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's also like, there's a weird psychological thing that's not why I do it, but that when you pay for something, you think it's more valuable. And so like, just to have that like association might help. It doesn't hurt anything to have it be a cheap kind of interaction.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're just like, I fulfilled this, and so I'm
a part of it.
Yeah.
I contributed. Yeah, I always, if I ever forget, sometimes I'll remember. You get like a late Venmo from me probably like 3 days later, and I'm like, oh my God, gotta pay Aria! I got it. I can't just leave her hanging. Yeah.
It's like $120 for 2018.
Yeah. Bailey's like totally invested here. Okay, so you started out with this email thread. I'm curious to know how many people are on your email list?
420.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
And like, are some of these people, they're just still on it? They don't even live in New York anymore? Like,
Yep.
Wow, that's amazing.
I don't have an unsubscribe button.
No one at the, what's it called? The like new email legislation that went in, nobody.
The perfect acquisition tactic.
Yeah, you cannot unsubscribe. Awesome.
No.
People
leaving
like have
allowed.
written me like, "Hey, I'm no longer living here. Like, can you take me up?" I'm like, "Yeah, sorry for the spam." Like, but
Suck it up.
I'm like, that's another reason why I was like, I want to make these. If I'm gonna be sending emails weekly, like I used to. The first time I didn't BCC anyone.
Yeah.
So people started replying all and just being like, "Sorry, I can't make it tonight." And people started also being like, "Hey, my friend's apartment is available. Does anyone need it?" Like, and it's like,
No way.
like, let's not use this. Like,
This is not
platform.
everybody's audience. This is my audience
Yeah.
for this one thing.
Only when something goes wrong do I change what I originally did.
Yeah. Okay. Like, you mean re-email and edit?
Like, no, like from day one, I think I had such a perfect equation
I
that
get
like
it.
only when like, oh, this is like happening too much that I'm gonna put people in BCC.
Yeah,
And
okay.
like it's getting too
So, like,
beyond.
the
Right.
first practice is what's happening today.
yeah.
Yes.
Except for anything that is, like, glaringly
Like,
fucked
right until proven wrong.
Yes. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
It works until I get like suggestions. Like sudden death rules are like totally our made up rules that
Alright.
we invented. That it's
Great.
not officially sudden death. Where it's like rebuttal, because that was like people were just like, that's not fair. We should have another.
Oh, so the
turn.
first person to score used to win, and now you
Yes.
give the other side a
Team
chance
a
to
chance.
score.
Oh.
I see.
And then it gets really confusing
Yeah.
if they do. So that's like a part of it, you know, and it's a part of the myth of what we do there.
Do you feel like downtown girls basketball is a community?
For sure, yeah. I've seen, you know, so many different like friendships form because of it, which is really beautiful that I don't have to be a part of every friendship group that happens.
Yes, you do.
And I'll see you at your birthday.
No
and
to
your
everyone.
birthday.
I started this to make friends.
You must include me.
Yeah, exactly.
Please CC me on all communication.
No group threads without me. And so I think it's that and running into people or being like, oh, I think I recognize you from like basketball or that's like such a great feeling and it makes New York feel like way more approachable and community oriented. Like if you just like show up to a thing by yourself, I'm like, maybe, you know, there's probably like a 20% chance I'm gonna run into someone who has come to basketball over the 6 years that I've been doing it. So it's kind of like, oh, like I already feel like at home and comfortable that like it's like safe kind of.
Yeah. There's this, have you ever heard of Bowling Alone? It's a book, and this professor wrote it, and he interviewed 50,000 communities, like Elks Lodge, like all these different things.
Wow.
And one of his arguments is that all civic engagement of any kind and like the kind of level of acceptance that a society shows is directly related to how many groups the society has. So
Wow.
like a basketball team makes civic engagement go up
Wow.
just by knowing other people that are different from you.
Right.
You know?
Right. Boom.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, and I think you're kind of talking about that a little bit, but for me, downtown girls basketball is like I play basketball once a week and that's sort of the entry point, but so many more good things have come into my life, like mostly people.
Yeah.
But it just is like this one thing that I do and so much comes out of it. And I
Right.
think I mean, it seems like you had a hunch about that in the very beginning, but is it more than you could have like sort of ever imagined? What did you think was going to happen when you started it?
My goal was to kind of just like group people in a way that was like I didn't have to have like 50 different coffees in order to keep friendships up, and to have like many good friends that are not hard to plan stuff with, and to kind of capture that moment in time where it was like all these different people and, you know, they were so great and they're such different, you know, and to it was like just to kind of collect it.
Make a Venn diagram where you're like, all these people from all these parts of my life.
Yeah.
You're all overlapping.
Yes.
Now.
And you can overlap in like a non-competitive way, which was, as an artist, it's very kind of, there's a community to arts, but it's also a little bit competitive. And like even in design or, office spaces, it's kind of, I find in a lot of, because I do freelance, a lot of office culture turns bonding when it turns negative, and that kind of becomes really toxic and spreads, like, because it's such a bonding thing to complain.
Yeah.
And it also is super unhealthy. So it's like, how can you kind of create a bonding that's positive in whatever environment it is?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't have like, I'm going to have this go on for 6 years. Like, it was just like, did it on a whim and it went well, and so I'm still doing it. So like I'm really trying hard as an artist, and like that's like not working out as nearly as well as basketball.
That's what I wanted to ask you, actually. Downtown Girls Basketball is linked on your website next to all of these badass galleries that you show and this arts collective that you're a part of. Yeah. And I don't ever feel like it's your art, but I do, knowing exactly the kind of work that you make, which is like kind of silly, kind of cool, kind of absurd, like, and approachable. Like, there feels like there's a connection there. How do you manage that? How do you think about that?
Now, after like many years of being able to kind of like see where comparison lies, I do think, I have an arts collective that is very much community building oriented, and I have this basketball that's very much community building oriented, that I think that's like an inevitable part of what I want to do just as a human. Yeah. And I think whether it's doing things as a human or doing things as an art project, it's kind of the same thing in the end, right? Like, whether it's like physical items I'm putting into the world or like concepts that I'm putting out into the world, I think it's kind of the same thing. I think if I labeled it my art project, I think it would become a little bit more exclusive.
You tricked us!
Like, more exclusive. Like, you're just like, I didn't realize I was a part of this, like, social experiment that's Aria's art project.
I hope someday there's an art gallery show devoted to all of these, like, mind manipulation with Aria.
Yeah, like, really, I've been studying and tracking you. And
my 10-year art project is complete.
Yeah. I have an inventory of every movement. So yeah, it's, I think, like, not taking it so seriously, like I do take an art practice or, a job, it's kind of like freeing in that way where it's like not adhering to certain rules that I would put on other things. Like, it has to be perfect before I tell anyone, that kind of mentality is not always helpful.
No.
So I think like that it's helped me in a lot of ways to just ask everyone about whatever project you're doing, and they'll know 10 people to help you with it or be a part of it. And then, like, don't take yourself too seriously. You can always, like, make additions of it that will be better the more you continue versus, like, having things be so precious. And because everything is an evolution. It's never perfect the first time you launch it. So those things are, like, weird abstract thoughts to take away and apply to like other practices.
Yeah. I think for me, New York is a place where people take themselves very seriously. Yeah. And I actually think that has to be the secret sauce of Downtown Girls Basketball, right? Yeah. That's it. Like, that's all of it. You're just like, I really don't need to go take myself super seriously at basketball with my friends.
Right.
Like, let's pull that piece out of the equation.
This is the one thing you don't need.
Yeah, absolutely. Aria, I'm going to ask you one more question. What's been, like, the weirdest, biggest, like, either weirdest thing that's happened from Downtown Girls Basketball or just, like, biggest surprise? You're like, I did not see that coming. That was crazy, good or bad.
The most surprising thing for me was how many people showed up on day one. And continues to be the most surprising thing is how many people show up on, like, day 300. I'm just, like, so floored by that. Every time there's a stranger that comes, I'm just like, where did you come from? How are you here? This is amazing. And that continues to be such a huge motivator to, like, keep me going. Sometimes I'm like, I'm lazy, but I'm like, it's going to be so good after I meet that new stranger that came to my thing. Like, that's so exciting.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
last
yeah.
week there was a girl there who didn't speak a word of English, who lives in China, who's like a famous vlogger type of something.
Yeah.
And does not know how to dribble, ran around with the ball in her hand.
Yeah.
We had 2 people, because it's in New York City, who speak Mandarin fluently, who are there, who
Happened.
play on the
Happened.
team. Yeah. And you're just like, cool. Like,
Yeah.
here we are, women in a gym in New York, and these people who live 6,000 miles away went to this small middle school gym
On
to
the
like
rooftop.
play basketball. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and she scored with on
First
her
shot.
First shot.
Scored on her first
Hell
shot.
yeah.
Didn't know how
Yeah.
to dribble. Scored on her first shot.
I know, everyone was like, happy angry.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So that's every time there's like a moment like that, that's like really awesome to see. And I do find like I try to be really like both open and closed about how attendance and, filming and stuff goes. So I have a lot of like rules in regarding to like working with outside people where it's like fly on the wall, like filming and
Yeah, because like Instagram's Instagram account has come, Nike has come, like all these big things have
Yeah.
wanted to come in and capture the energy that you have.
Right.
But we play basketball and they're just like kind of in the corner
Yeah.
most of the time. Yeah.
I mean, a few times I try to like get them to play so that they realize like they're not like a voyeur kind of relationship. It's like, no, like you can feel the team energy, and that just is such a more like good relationship rather than being like, we're gonna watch you. It's
Yeah.
like, no, just come play. That's the whole point. And it's a little bit of a better relationship too than I feel with them. It's more like a friendship than
Yeah.
you came and saw
Yeah.
relationship. That's probably the best and most surprising part. Is just like people are still coming.
Yeah.
Could have burned out and fizzled out anytime.
Yeah. Well, you keep coming.
I keep coming.
Yeah, so we gotta show up for Aria,
Yeah.
Maybe I'll hit a basket this week. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Cool. All
Yeah.
right. I think that's it.
Yeah,
You got
thanks for your
anything to
time.
add?
Yeah.
I'm all good.
Wow, Aria, you're my queen.
Thank you, Aria.
Thanks, Aria. If you want to get involved with Downtown Girls Basketball, you are invited to come play.
As long as you're chill.
As long as you're chill and you like to have fun more than you care about winning, you are invited to
Yeah.
play. You can message Aria on Instagram to get on the email list. Their handle is @Downtown Girls B-Ball. Again, @Downtown Girls B-Ball. There's no spaces, no hyphens, no underscores. You can also learn more about Aria, who is a legit dope creative director and artist, at her website, ariamcmanus.com. That's right, ariamcmanus.com.
You can also find out more about us, Kevin Bailey, People and Company, at our website, people-and.com, or say hi. Send us an email, hi@people-and.com. And I adopted this very legit announcer voice.
It's a
to say
late
goodbye.
Friday night here, and Kev just got super
Thank you, listeners. Truly appreciate it.
show tunesy over there.
People-and.com.
All right,
Later, friends.
see ya.
Peace.